Joining us now is the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, Congressman Adam Schiff. Congressman Schiff, it's nice to see you. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Bunch of breaking news tonight. I first want to get your reaction to these reports tonight that the president is actively considering firing the Deputy Attorney General who oversees the Russia investigation, and that he took steps to try to fire Robert Mueller in December.
Well, it looks certainly like a part of a pattern. If indeed the president fired James Comey because of the Russia investigation, and these notes by Dana Boente certainly corroborate James Comey, and Andrew McCabe's also strongly corroborative of James Comey, and you follow on with the firing of either Rosenstein or Mueller for the reason of trying to obstruct an investigation that may lead to him, that looks like a part of a powerful pattern. And you see these reports of discussions in the White House that they're trying to concoct a justification for getting rid of Rod Rosenstein. Maybe they could pin it on his memo talking about how James Comey should not have been discussing the Clinton email investigation. You really have to chase down a rabbit hole to even understand how that theory is supposed to work. They're going to fire Rod Rosenstein because he did what the president asked and produced a memo, assuming that's how the memo came about. So it does look like a growing body of evidence that the president is trying to obstruct an investigation that may lead to him.
These new notes that we have reported on tonight from Dana Boente. Dana Boente has been an unusually large number of different law enforcement positions that had an important relationship to the Russia investigation. He was the Eastern District of Virginia U.S. Attorney when that office, prosecutors at that office, were pursuing grand jury inquiries into both Michael Flynn and Paul Manafort. As acting Attorney General, he oversaw the Russia investigation. As acting Deputy Attorney General, after Jeff Sessions was recused, he also oversaw the entire investigation. As head of the National Security Division, he signed off on charges against Manafort. And now as General Counsel of the FBI, he's in an unusual position with the FBI facing these attacks from the president and from Republicans who are hostile to this investigation. We're reporting tonight that Boente has been summoned to give an interview as a witness to the Mueller investigation. Does that strike you as important?
It does, and for this reason, as a prosecutor, before you embark on these interviews of people who corroborate James Comey, you have to ask one fundamental question, and that is, let's assume that everything James Comey said was true. Does that constitute evidence of obstruction of justice? Would that make a case of obstruction of justice? And I agree that the suggestion or the dictate from the president that Comey drop the Flynn case is the single most significant action that the president asked for. But if your answer is no, then you don't do those interviews. But if your answer is, if we can accept or prove what Comey said was true, that would constitute obstruction of justice, then you do go through these interviews. So it is significant, I think, that that not only Dana Boente, but Andy McCabe and others are likely being brought before the special counsel. I also think it's significant, Rachel, that each of these witnesses that corroborate James Comey has been the subject of either firing or disciplinary action or attack by the president or his allies. So you look at Baker, who was the prior general counsel for Comey, has been the subject of attack. Rybicki, the chief of staff for Comey, has been the subject of attack. Comey, of course, has been fired and the subject of attack. Boente and McCabe was fired before his pension could vest at the urging of the president. So all of those witnesses who corroborate James Comey are in a position to do so have been the subject of efforts to undermine them, and I don't think that's a coincidence.
Let me ask you about that when it comes specifically to Dana Boente. It remains a mystery to me, and it may be absolutely innocent, may have nothing to do with this overall Russia scandal, but it remains a strange story to me that Dana Boente was removed from the Justice Department. NBC and MSNBC's reporting is that Boente, although he resigned, was directed that he should resign, both as the head of the National Security Division and as head of the Eastern District of Virginia U.S. Attorney's Office. Part of the reason we were able to report that out is because Dana Boente had told people just a few days before that supposed resignation that he was looking forward getting back to Eastern District of Virginia and running that U.S. Attorney's Office full time. That happened right around the time that Paul Manafort was indicted for the first time. We know that Boente signed off on those charges. Do you know anything, as the top Democrat on the Intelligence Committee, about why Boente was fired, about who fired him, or about whether it was related to this scandal?
I don't know the answer to that, and the only thing that occurs to me is if there were some issue with Dana Boente that could give the president or any of his people cause to have an issue with him, you would think it would be unlikely that he would be brought in as general counsel for the FBI.
Right.
So I don't know the reason why he was fired from those two positions or forced to resign from them. But given that he was taken on by Director Wray, who I'm sure is trying to dot every I and cross every T, that may be unlikely to happen if he was pushed out over his handling of the Manafort case.
Congressman Adam Schiff, the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, really appreciate your time here tonight, sir, on a very busy